drums. Show us what you got.
Program activated.
This week, the Marthythians watched the 1973 classic High Plains Drifter, starring and directed by Clint Eastwood. They listened to the 2013 album I Want Revenge by Kill Matilda. And they ate some original extra-strength flavored Fisherman's Friends.
Hologram program activated.
Oh, I forgot my
Flavor
Fisherman
is
friend.
extra strength? That's cute.
I ate some, but I wanted to bring some and eat more, and I forgot them. Do you have any, Aaron?
No, I forgot mine too.
I really feel like having them during the show, when possible, is kind of adding to it.
It's
like, I
fun,
really liked
yeah.
our Laffy Taffy episode. Mine is
Where
like...
you could hear the...
And I
the whole
know that
time.
that's going to drive some people crazy. It's not something to encourage, but it was just talking about, you know, having our own candy shop or like
Yeah.
making our own conspiracy candies and like
is-
snacking on Laffy Taffy was just adorable.
It is hard to hear that sound over the space station's engines, though.
Yeah.
Thank God.
It's pretty loud.
We all eat loudly.
Makes
we all
sense.
eat loudly. Original extra strong is the best flavor, undoubtedly.
So
Was it
is
extra
extra
str-
strong
I was just
the
gonna say.
flavor, or does it just
Yeah.
have more medicinal? So it's not just regular flavor. It's not just cherry flavor. The flavor is extra
Well,
strong.
here's what's interesting. There is no just original.
I
The
thought there
original
was.
is extra strong. No, there's not. There's just original extra strong. That's it.
The one with
weird.
just the white package, right? Because we were talking about how I asked if there was sugar in it, and then we had to look it up, and it turns out there is sugar in the original, just plain white package.
Yeah,
as
they
opposed
did
to
the
like
sugar-
the cherry and the lime
yeah.
and stuff.
They did the sugar-free ones later.
After.
Because who the fuck doesn't add sugar, particularly in a company that old? There's sugar in everything.
He's like, it tastes like shit. Just dump some sugar in it. So
It'll taste better. Everything tastes better with sugar. Aniseed is like one of the primary.
Oh, that's what that was.
That's what gives you the licorice flavor. Is aniseed.
The eucalyptus, though, I do like that eucalyptus. It's very.
Nice in the chest.
Yep.
Nice in the chesticles.
I think it's the better. It's my preference. I mean, I like the Hall's extra
Original.
strength. Interesting statement. Hall's original in Norway. That's what they like. I think that's the word for throat. Hals.
Halts.
So they just call them Hals, all of them. It doesn't. It's kind of like we call Kleenex for nose tissue. We just call it all Kleenex.
Right.
They call them all.
So
Hals.
any throat lozenge is a
Yeah,
Hals.
it's Hals
Oh.
because it's throat.
Do you remember those terrible. No.
Whoa. Pull it out a bit.
Hulse, get that out of your hulse. Do you remember those terrible, fairly recent, those Fisherman's Friends commercial where they were trying to make them more women friendly? Yeah.
And how they've changed
They've
the
changed-
vocal halfway through?
I don't think I've ever seen a Fisherman's Friends commercial.
Yeah, they had
they
a
have
few.
them.
I
Yeah.
thought they were one of those brands where it was just like
at
people
least the
just buy them.
cherry. They
That
plugged
was the one,
cherry.
yeah. Yeah,
But
where
I
it
don't
was-
remember if they ever did the citrus one.
I remember the Be a Man ones where they were kind of embracing the whole Buckley's thing where they're just like, it tastes nasty, but, you know,
But
it makes you
doesn't
feel
taste
better.
Nasty. Buckley's
Just like
legitimately
nasty
does.
things.
Have you ever had Sensen?
Sensen?
Sensen.
I've never heard of that.
It's like this little. If you find it, maybe I'll do it one week as the.
Great. You're going to track it down?
Yeah, it's not that hard to find, particularly at truck stops. I think truckers
Oh,
like
boy.
it.
It's a trucker candy?
Trucker delight.
Well,
Keeps
it
you
comes in
awake
this-
and then knocks you right out. And your butt hurts after.
Wait.
No, it's just a breath freshener. Come on, Sensen. It's this like. It's this little kind of square package. You tear it open. It's got these little. What's that gum that you eat? And it's little tiny purple squares.
Thrills.
Thrills. Right?
Tastes like soap.
What
I
is
love
up with
Thrills.
that?
No, I
Yeah.
love Thrills.
No.
But Sensen is minier, more
Smaller?
minier, more minuter in size, and it's just little black things.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so you shake a little bit out under your palm. You don't need a lot. You put it in your mouth. It's like a blast of fresh licorice, and it makes making out excellent for your partner.
I'm not on board for that.
You don't like the licorice? You don't want to make it with Aaron?
No, well, both. I'm going to go with both.
Reasonable.
But
you do like licorice in your mouth?
No, both things disgust me.
Oh.
Yeah. But you know that, like, when you go to an Indian place and there's...
The little scoops of candy?
Yeah, but they're like fennel. It's just like candied fennel, and it just tastes like licorice. Blech. Can't do it. It's that Sambuca.
So it's settled then. I'm going to do Sen one week.
I usually drink Sambuca. Like, I drink it once in a while, and I actually do it I drink it to warm up as opposed to like whiskey or scotch or anything, because it just, instead of making me want to throw up in my mouth, it makes me want to like jump around to get the flavor out of my mouth, which is weird.
I've ever had
active.
Sambuca.
It's fine. It's anisey. You know, if you like black licorice, you'll like
ouzo.
Sambuca. Exactly. I think if you couldn't get ouzo, you could settle for Sambuca.
But see, like, I can handle ouzo, but Jägermeister is the most disgusting food.
But Jäger doesn't taste like licorice at all to me.
Tastes like medicine, kind of.
It's disgusting.
When I was in Las Vegas one year for punk rock bowling, we had like pints of Jaeger bombs, and that was probably 4 years ago. And if you put Jaeger bombs anywhere near me, I will knock you out. Oh yeah, I'll throw up and then I'll punch you. It might not hurt, but I'll do it.
I mean, the biggest question is, if you were a fisherman, would it be your friend?
It would be. Well, isn't that how it got its name?
It must be.
Because I was the one this time who researched the random thing.
Oh, were you?
Yeah. Aaron is usually that guy, but I did it. And apparently the guy who developed it in 1865 was a pharmacist, or who was trying to help the fishermen because they work in the cold wharfs and they always got throat colds and stuff. So, and they couldn't take on cough medicine in their glass jars because they would always smash and stuff.
That's right. So you want a little packet of pastils.
And they were buddies. They were little buddies.
Aw,
yeah.
You can't just say fisherman buddies. That doesn't sound quite right.
No, not as good.
It's really loud through the mic, hey?
Yeah. Why are you doing it?
Because I'm trying to quit smoking, so I'm eating gum instead.
Oh, I thought you had Fisherman's Friend.
It's really too bad for the podcast. I chew with my mouth open.
I'm just going to turn his mic off.
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
Don't worry, I don't chew with my mouth open.
Unfortunately, he talks with his mouth open.
Fuck off.
I'm a little mean today. I'm a little
Margaret Thatcher used the product Fisherman's Friends when her throat became strained from public speaking. With a name attached to your product like that, how can you
endorsed by Margaret Thatcher on the cover.
Well, you know, she got shit done.
Yeah,
she
did. Bitches get shit done.
No question about that.
I can see, like, I feel if somebody could make a throat lozenge that had like menthol and eucalyptus, I think it's something tasted more like eucalyptus than anise, because I find that happens. You get that, to get the kind of opening up sensation, you've got to put so many things together. Like eucalyptus and peppermint and spearmint would be like my ideal throat lozenge.
So minty.
Yeah, but I think the eucalyptus, because I know, like, I'm really, my chest is really clogged in the morning or when I work out too hard and I'm just like, I wheeze really bad. And I think I know that the eucalyptus really helps with that. And
every morning?
Almost every morning. Depends what I've been doing. Depends how many smoky bars I've been in.
From, like, asthma?
I don't think so. I once thought I had asthma, then I was told I was just fat.
Why don't you have that like sexy raspy voice then?
Because it's down in my lungs, not up in my throat.
No.
I've been smoking for 20 years.
No,
I really wish that we could put on that.
There's a difference, though. There's like... Does Stevie Nicks sound like she's been smoking for 1,000 years? She doesn't. She just has a sexy rasp.
I can't stop.
Does she not smoke? It's just
I don't know, probably, but that's besides the point. She isn't...
Some
like, there's a difference between someone who
voices.
sounds like they have, you know, their throat's already had a hole cut in it, and they're like,
They got to press the button to talk. No, it's not the same thing.
No, it's not the same thing. But there are people who sound like they're about to get a hole cut in their throat.
Yeah.
And then there are people who just sound like when they were 12 years old they had a raspy voice. That's just their
happened.
voice.
Yeah, I think it enhances it. Smoking will make it worse, but there's people out there who just have that rasp.
I get a
my
sexy
voice
voice when
raspy?
I'm sick.
No.
And I'm all plugged up. It's a little extra. It's just like Friends, Phoebe and her sick voice, her sexy sick voice.
Yeah,
Friends.
I
A lot of
watch
people.
Friends.
You
Come
guys
on.
watch Friends?
I
Well,
don't actively.
I have watched Friends.
Ever in our lives? Yeah.
Maybe
course.
if I watched Friends, I'd have more friends. Do you think?
Aww,
You'd only be friends with people who like really know it, and there are those people out there.
you're such a Monica, Aaron.
What does that mean?
I can't even think of which one would suit him. Maybe a Chandler.
No, because none of them are really kind of dicks.
That's why I'm trying to
guess,
think.
yeah,
Chandler.
That's why
Maybe
they
a
all
common-
have friends.
He's kind
No,
of.
they only have each other.
they
I think there's a
only have
difference.
Yeah,
but
people
that's
try
enough,
to get in.
There's
but
what,
they-
5 of them? Is there 5 of them?
There's
Six
six.
of them.
Yeah.
So 6 friends is enough friends.
That's all you need.
That's plenty.
And 6
That's
like
one
allegedly
friend.
super tight friends. That's what I think is weird. I might
Yeah.
have 6 friends, period, but I've got 2, maybe 3 legit.
Yeah, I mean, if you
Right.
think about it, 6 friends is 1 friend per night of the week for good quality time, and then 1 night to yourself. That's a lot of friends.
That's too many.
It's too
Yeah,
many
that's,
friends.
when you put it that way, that seems like too much friends.
I'm glad we're
can't
not
do it.
friends.
No.
I'd hate to have to
Suck.
dedicate a night to you guys.
Jeepers creepers.
Come on.
I want to try Fisherman's Friend Pro Fresh flavor.
Pro
What does
fresh.
that taste like?
They have a whole bunch
List
that I've
them.
never seen.
List them. List them.
Original
List
extra
them.
strong. They've got one that's just called aniseed. I'm curious about
Ew.
that one now. Mint,
I would like that.
lemon,
Eh,
black currant,
really?
mint.
What?
Did I say mint?
Yeah, you did.
Twice.
Yeah, you did. Are there 2
apple,
mints? Apple.
apple, and cinnamon together in one package.
Ugh, that just seems like catering to the masses.
Salmiak.
Birthday cake flavor.
Who the hell knows what salmiak is? I gotta look that up. Cherry,
I like the cherry ones.
mandarin, and ginger/grapefruit.
Gross.
Sweet licorice,
Nope.
How many are there?
tropical,
What?
spearmint,
Oh,
citrus,
really?
honey and lemon.
Well,
The
Fisherman's
reaction
Friend
every
Pro
time.
Fresh, which sounds like it should be coupled with Speed Stick. You do buy a pack of
does.
Speed
Colgate?
Stick.
I was
like
gonna
in one of
say,
those back
yeah.
to school
Friend Pro
packages.
Fresh.
Yeah, totally.
Going up to college, got my Colgate, got my
5-star binders.
yeah, and my speed stick, and my Fisherman's Friend.
Sweet vanilla,
Sweet vanilla,
peppermint,
Damn it, Aaron.
strawberry,
strawberry, blueberry,
lemon and lime,
blueberry,
and that's it.
blueberry.
Lofthouse of Fleetwood Limited, which is the company that makes Fisherman's Friend, have won the Queen's Award to Industry for Export Achievement on 3 occasions.
Congratulations.
How's that a fucking award?
Yeah, if you're listening out there, good work.
It's like
Yeah.
the Queen's like, you know what? We're on an island. We better export some shit. And to encourage that, we're gonna make an award for export excellence.
an award for the best export and the most flavors that are not detrimental to my corgis.
Did she always sound like that?
Always.
I don't know, but that's the best one I have. I don't know what the Queen sounds like. I think it would be like the Ark of the Covenant. If I could do the Queen's real voice, like my face would just melt off my skull and my jawbone would drop to the floor and I would just be a pile of bones and ooze and leggings on the floor with my cap sitting on top. The cap would be fine.
Why would that be the catalyst?
I don't know.
It's just because it's that kind of on a
Queen.
level.
I
Oh.
should think so. Only because, she's a popular figure. She's been there for a while. At this day and age, you can't really, or could you really comfortably say that the monarch is defined by God? Because that used to be a thing.
Right.
A long time.
Exactly. And I don't know if the House of Windsor really wants to cling to that kind
No.
of
And
old-timiness.
I picture the Queen more as like a harpy or something.
I hope she wears velour
Harpy?
tracksuits.
Yeah, a harpy. You know what a harpy is.
I know them, like the mystical creature. Is
Yeah,
that
it's
what
like a
you're
bird with
talking?
tits.
Right.
She probably sounds like that when she talks, I think, in real life.
I don't think the Queen puts out that much
What?
effort. I think that you would be lucky if the Queen deigns to speak to you in a normal speaking voice as opposed to a delicate whisper.
So damn.
Charles, we need an heir. So then Charles married that girl, and then they had a baby.
And then he married the horse. They have not had babies.
He married her
That
horse?
you know of.
They're the bulls.
No,
Yeah. They got remarried.
Charles. Who am I thinking of?
I don't know.
No, because
Charles married Diana.
Right,
Charles is her son, and he married Diana, and they had the 2 kids. But then while Diana and Charles were married, he had an affair with Camilla Bowles, and then eventually, after Diana was dead, many times after that, actually just within the last 5, maybe 10 years, he married Camilla Bowles. Henceforth, they have not had children.
Despite being a member of the Commonwealth, I could give no shits about the monarchy.
I don't think that many Canadians, especially now, or even the Western ones, would really feel. I think
William,
it's of a certain.
That's what I was thinking of. William.
Oh, and William also spit out some kids.
Yeah, but Charles probably won't be king.
No.
Probably not. I mean, if Charles is ever on our fucking money,
Is this something that we should know as Canadians? Because I do not.
Do you mean
really
as Marthythians?
Yeah, Marthythian Canadians.
Yeah, we're part of the Commonwealth. Yeah. We opted in.
That's fair. We did get the choice.
Because your knowledge of the monarchy is astounding, and
of the last 15 years of the monarchy, when Diana, I think that if we went back 100 years, well, maybe this. What I want to make a joke out of is how I know the things I do based on pop culture. So to say it's not because I'm invested, it's because it's in the media. Conversely, if you were to go back 100 years, would it be an insult that I only know the monarchy as it would be then because they were, figures to be gawked at?
Well,
or would it be they're on a pedestal, so, oh yeah, of course you want to look at us, but it's more salacious, right? It's less dignified.
But wasn't it I can understand Queen Elizabeth too having her face on Canadian money, because was it 1967, I think, that we repatriated the Constitution or whatever the fuck we call that?
What? The Charter?
The Charter.
1867?
No, 19.
Well, that would be the 100-year anniversary, wouldn't it?
No.
Must be talking about
Canada
things.
was still part of, I think in 1867 we became Canada.
Right.
But it wasn't until 1967 that they replaced, I think,
the flag.
The BNA Act, the British North America Act, with the Canadian Constitution. So we didn't actually get our own Constitution, I think, until the 60s. And if I'm wrong, then I know more about most other countries' politics than I do about my own. But I think that's the idea why most Canadians are like, yeah, we're okay with having the Queen on our money, because she actually had a hand in the formation of the country as we know it today.
Because she's but
no monarch after her
old.
will. They'll have no impact whatsoever.
I'm interested to see when there's no more monarchy.
Yeah. I read that the Queen
fuck the Queen
is
fuck the Queen,
one of it, or the longest reigning queens almost ever, even going back as far as they can record. She became...
That doesn't surprise me, especially in the British or even European, because there's so much infighting and backstabbing and incest and mysterious deaths and stuff. So not only would be now, and even in her 60 years, be more civilized, and that you don't really have that kind of cloak and daggerness about it. It doesn't surprise me, that coupled with people living longer. I think that the Queen is more like an idol now than a functioning head.
It's a figurehead.
She's a figurehead.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's kind of like how...
Not a functioning head, just a figurehead.
Figure of one.
It's kind of like how we have the Governor General in Canada. Who's appointed by the Prime Minister, who's the one who has to sign off on all bills to actually ratify them into law. And I think, it's not an elected position. It's appointed by the Prime Minister. But technically, legally, that person has the right to shut down any law they want. Just be like, nah, I'm not signing that fucking bullshit.
Does the Governor General not have some sort of liaise with the monarchy?
Yeah, the Governor General is the Queen's representative in Canada, but the Governor General is appointed by the Prime Minister.
They should at least have to be vetted by the monarchy.
Yeah,
does the monarchy really care?
Why do they exist? Let's say you appoint someone. Let's say I'm the Prime Minister, and tomorrow... let's reverse this, because this is a more likely situation. Let's say Mitch is the Prime Minister.
I like how that's the more likely situation.
that's not the more likely situation.
Well, after Kim Campbell, it's not going to be me.
It's the details of what I'm getting to that's the more likely situation.
Oh, okay.
If Mitch is the Prime Minister, and he appoints me as Governor General, and I'd just be like, fuck that shit, and I wouldn't sign off on it. And I could legally. I can't be replaced. I'm in that position.
But I think it's got to be one of those things you sign. Yeah, and they'd be like, well, I'm not going to sign off on that, and they'll be like, all right, come on.
Legally, I have the right to not do.
Come on.
There's got to be something in there. You can't just appoint someone and then have them be like, I'm not doing it. You come to my birthday party.
No. It's happened, actually, I think, in Canadian history, where the Governor General's been like, no, you're going to have to go back to the House with that one. It goes from the House to the Senate to the Governor General.
I feel like there's a difference between you saying if I just didn't want to sign off on something and then giving greater context to it. If you've got a legitimate problem, I think that's one thing, because you'd want to appoint someone of prestige so that they can be the final, okay, we're pretty sure this is all right. What do you think about it?
But they don't. We just pay a person. What really happens is we just pay a person a lot of money to pretend to be the representative of the Queen. Probably have never met the Queen.
But what if they have like late night bed chats every other Tuesday? That would make me so happy. The Queen in her giant bed with the Edward next beside her.
Totally,
and the corgis, like those big beds, like those.
They're having a slumber party?
10-person beds. No, they're just sitting there reading. She's got a cup of tea with her, maybe her dentures in it or something.
Old kids in the hall joke, and it's funny, but once you become an adult and realize how much money it costs us, it's no longer funny.
Will be pleased to not finish this sentence in my present company.
Okay, so you guys watch this movie, High Plains Drifter, correct?
That makes it sound like you didn't watch this movie.
Correct.
It's getting a little slurrier on that end of the table.
No.
This movie came out in 1973.
I've never
seen. It's a good year.
I'd never seen a Western-y movie before. I'd never really seen a cowboyish movie.
I remember you said that last week.
Yeah.
And that's when I really wanted to go, foreshadowing.
I know. It worked.
Never seen a Western movie?
I don't think I have. I mean, Blazing Saddles, I think, is the closest I've ever come.
Comedy.
But I guess you can't really say, I watched Young Frankenstein and that was a horror movie, right?
You're missing out, but this was a weird one to start.
Wasn't it?
No. I think this was perfect for me to start with.
Because it had that like paranormal kind of like thing going on. Yeah.
It was just weird enough that kept especially the score. I found the score, like the theremin, it just gave that extra ooh.
Theremin, bike bells.
I know, there was some
chimes.
Cool.
And just like so eerie, and it worked. I know that Clint Eastwood does cowboy movies. I know that John Wayne, Clint Eastwood.
They hated each other though, by the way.
Apparently, especially after this.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Really?
Because John Wayne's like, that's not a real cowboy movie. A cowboy's a real American. He would never rape a woman.
Boy, did he rape.
That was
And boy, did he rape.
I found it weird because I had read that this was one of the only Clint Eastwood. This is not good. And I must have read it wrong, because not only did it turn out to not happen that way, it had said that of all the movies that Clint Eastwood's been in that have rape in them, this was the one that he didn't do, but it must have been, this is the one that he actually did do. Like, I must have read it wrong, because no question. Yeah.
You lost me.
That's okay. I'm gonna talk amongst yourselves, and I'm gonna Google it so we can hear me firsthand read it wrong.
Do you mean because like the situation in the movie was that like she was a whore and it was like
no. Well, was she? Because but I like the piece, the movie note that I read said, although there are many rape scenes in Clint Eastwood movies, this is the first time that he hasn't portrayed it. So that had made me think, does that mean that Clint Eastwood has a tendency to rape people in his movies? What's up with that?
This is the first movie that he hasn't portrayed it?
Like, I'm looking it up now, because I must have read it wrong. Because he raped her.
Oh, definitely.
That's doubtless.
That was real.
That's not what we're talking about.
It was like one of the first thing he did when he got into the town. He's just like,
in the first 5 minutes of the movie, he kills 3 men and rapes a lady. And she's a fucking cunt to begin with.
Right.
I did not...
Rape is not acceptable, even if she is a D-bag.
This is true.
The first rape scene in a Clint Eastwood directed film, and he's the one committing it. The first rape scene in a Clint Eastwood film was for a few dollars more, so I had interjected the word not in there.
Because it's basically saying that this is the first time he's ever raped anyone on camera.
Right.
No, I think it's that he directed. The first rape scene in a Clint Eastwood film was for a few dollars more.
Right, but that might not
and he's the one committing the act, yep.
Yeah, he's the first one to actually rape someone in one of his movies.
Well, good for him.
What an accomplishment.
It just seemed
There's
like
always, it's always nice to be the first.
the woman who had it happen to her. I mean, it made me really uncomfortable because inherently, as a woman, you do always run that risk, and that is something that another gender just might not quite ever grasp.
What?
I think that there is a certain feeling that a woman develops where at any given time something could happen. I mean,
You're saying that women in general,
I don't want to generalize.
This is weird. Okay, I just want to clarify this.
I don't think I want to have this conversation with you at this particular moment.
I'm just going to ask the question. You can say yes or no.
I'm just not going to.
You're just saying, what you're saying is that women typically at some point feel like
Finish that thought.
they may encounter rape.
I would never generalize so broadly as to say rape.
That women sort of expect to be raped at some point in their life.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay. I must have misheard it.
Anyway, the town was a dick, though, right? Like the whole
Everyone,
town,
including the woman who got raped.
I saw the town as a character. I don't know about you guys.
Even
No,
Mordecai?
you're right. No.
The entire
Even Mordecai.
town.
Even Mordecai.
And
Wow.
because
because of what happened?
the rape specifically,
Oh,
she just
that's right.
she runs in and she's like, "You're just gonna let someone rape me in broad daylight?" And they're like, "Well, he could help us, so yeah, I guess."
And I think that definitely talks to the times as well. I mean, that
They
was
did that with everything. That was the initial kind of offense, was that they allowed them to kill that man in the first place.
I
The
thought it
offense
was
that-
less an allow, but they kind of
No, the offense was that they
encouraged.
stood by. They stood by and allowed it to happen. They did
They
encourage
did.
it.
Everyone
But they
wanted
do it throughout the movie. They allow her to be raped. They allow him to take advantage. And when they do kind of like stand up,
He was testing
him.
them the whole time. Like he would go in there and he'd be like, "Well, you can grab anything you want." And he'd be like,
Gives
"All
the
right."
candies to the
Here's
native
some
kids.
native things. Everything he did was like, "All right, what can I do to this town then?"
I liked that.
Yeah,
That made me
yeah.
like it more.
you almost
yeah.
start off thinking he's just a giant prick, but he's not. Like at the end, you're almost like, no, they're all the pricks.
They are, and he's there to kind of like punish them. Is what my kind of
And
takeaway
when
And
was.
those three
that
outlaws
really-
come running into town at the end and they start killing everyone, you're like,
Yeah.
I don't mind that he's not there to save them.
Right.
That was another interesting thing, for like the main character of the movie, he was not necessarily around during most of the climax.
Yeah.
But I found it. I wanted to build on something that you had said.
About the town being a character, or about
No.
how they were assholes, and Mordecai,
No.
his little buddy that he made sheriff. And
So
then
I love how he lifts him up all the time.
I
He just like picks him up and sets him
know.
on things.
like when
He's
they're
always there, like standing
know.
on something and to light his cigar. And I'm like, man, I want a little man.
You want a Mordecai?
like when they're sitting on the fence, and that guy's the hotel owner's just like, "Oh, you can't tear down my barn," and he's like chewing on his cigar. He's like, "Yeah, I can." Just
You're gonna
kinda-
help.
Yeah, you're gonna help.
And you're gonna help.
Yeah.
I love that he's a midget, but he's not a midget. He moves like a fully grown man. He doesn't have any of that limb.
No, but when it comes to little people, there are two different types. You've got the kind of more dwarfish little people,
Yeah.
and then you've got someone who's like, if they were sitting down, their torso and everything is normal. They just have like smaller extremities. And I know that because when I was in a high school once, there was a team of little people playing basketball to talk about bullying.
wicked.
Team of them. Wow.
Did they hop on each other's shoulders?
I don't remember. All I remember was them explaining the differences between like dwarfism and just being a little person.
No, whatever. No, but that's the thing. Like, who cares? Who fucking cares?
Well,
you're a
I guess
midget. You're a dwarf.
That's
who
kind of a
fucking cares?
good way to look at it, I guess. Then it's like
That's the right way to look at it. Who
You're
cares?
equal, whatever. Like, yeah,
I don't care what
nothing
you are.
special.
Are you
whatever.
a dick? I don't care if you're a little dick.
Yeah.
Wait.
I just don't care.
Fair enough. It might have been something I liked how
There's objectification of midgets in this movie.
I guess so.
They were being objectified.
No, he was testing the town by making this little guy that everyone hated the sheriff. He's just like, well, I'm gonna
And
make him
the
the
mayor.
sheriff. And the mayor.
And I'm the mayor. I'm the mayor.
Yeah. Exactly. And everyone hated him.
He's
But
the meek. Blessed are the meek,
yeah.
for they shall inherit Lagos.
Do you actually think that he was a real person though? The main character, Clint Eastwood?
As opposed to like a ghost.
Kind of like an
Apparition.
An apparition, but he was real. Like, they could talk to him.
Yeah.
But do you think that he was an actual... Because they make that kind of ambiguous again at the end.
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved the
I
end.
think he's real.
I think, but the way that they kind of like zoom in on the tombstone, they kind of make you think he's some embodiment of the spirit of the guy that the town killed, and that he's come back to kind of show
I read
them.
that later in like discussion groups and
Right.
stuff, but I never, when I watched the movie, I didn't think that. I thought, he's probably
Just fucking with him?
Just
he's probably related to the Marshall.
that's what
or
what they
like that.
The original idea, apparently, I read, was that they wanted, when they wrote the movie, they wrote it as his brother coming back to kind of
that's
show
what
the
I
town.
presumed.
But Clint Eastwood took that out of the movie because he wanted it to be a
More
bit more
ambiguous?
like,
But I didn't feel like it was that ambiguous. I mean, again, I read on the forums and stuff. A lot of people.
So you had a
felt
bit of
that
a
way.
preconceived notion.
No, I read that after
After?
I watched the movie. And a lot of people are saying that, and I'm thinking, I don't know, because at the end, Mordecai, what does he call him, Captain?
Well, he'd been calling him Captain the whole time.
I only noticed it at the very end.
No, I heard him several times.
And when he said, you didn't say what your name was, and he's like, you know it.
Yeah.
And then
You
he
already
drove.
know me.
you
And
already
that's
know
when
my
he had
name.
been carving the tombstone.
Yeah.
But also, interestingly, as I read in the synopsis after I watched the movie, I don't like reading this stuff before I watch the movie.
No.
I like to take it in
I had to
myself.
stop halfway through.
But at the end,
Really?
people say, oh, Mordecai...
Oh, before,
Mordecai
yeah.
looks on perplexed as he
Rides
rides
away?
off.
I thought that was just his face.
I never thought he looked perplexed.
He's just
I
looking
thought
at
it
the
looked
sun.
like he went, that's who you are.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I had the impression that
Oh, I didn't
Mordecai
get
knew
that.
at that point when he says, oh, you know who you are.
I would have loved it if it had been
recognition.
like some sort of revenge from beyond the grave, only because that shit, it makes me a little tingly. And I think it worked with the atmosphere that was created by all the
Yeah.
music that was in there. And I think it kind of funneled in extra to making the town look like hell and all that kind of
Right,
stuff.
yeah.
But I mean, there's no reason why it also couldn't have been a sibling. You know, you still want revenge.
Yeah.
If something happens to your loved one, especially so
You want that.
redonkulously the way
Yeah.
that it had been. And I did read that they used Clint Eastwood's stuntman as the guy getting
read
whipped
that too,
to
to
create
make
the
him kinda
ambiguity.
look the
Yeah.
same. Yeah.
And I'm really into that.
Yeah.
And not just because I like movies sometimes. This is a really shitty thing to say. I sometimes like movies that are ambiguous, that leave it up for interpretation, especially when they're kind of creepy. And to have that feeling that it's not necessarily avant-garde, it's not necessarily progressive, but it's a little bit different.
Oh.
And for that to be in the 70s, when, to be fair, things were getting a little... For it to be the 70s, and when we did Logan's Run, we talked about, you know, the 60s and the 70s and how things were becoming more progressive.
Yeah.
But for it also to be a Western movie, and given that John Wayne, like the king of Westerns, had a problem with this movie,
Right.
I think that maybe it is progressive. Maybe it is like a real line, not a line in the sand, but like
well,
putting your javelin out there to be like, I'm doing something different.
Yeah.
I'm doing my own thing.
A lot of people.
I think that's a good
yeah.
point, though. I mean, if you look at John Wayne, when I look back at
Classic
John Wayne
cowboy.
movies,
Yeah.
I don't really like them.
They're almost too Americana. Like they're too.
Well, I had someone tell me once, they were like, oh, no, John Wayne's version, True Grit, the original, which was an Academy Award-winning movie, is way better than the new one. And I thought, no, it's not. Because I look at them and I watch John Wayne act, and I think, he's not even really acting.
But he
I
had a
don't-
shtick, didn't he? And
Yeah,
that's why
I
he
don't
did so many
perceive
westerns.
John Wayne as being like an actor. I perceive
then-
John Wayne as being I'm watching John Wayne, even more so than in modern movies.
Is that something that we have
I find
now,
them cheesy.
though?
I find them lame. I find them cheap. I don't really look back at John Wayne as an actor and think, yeah, that guy can act.
like if you were to put him in like in a modern movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Without knowing who he was.
As John Wayne,
Right.
the man,
Yeah.
totally respect him.
Right.
When I read his interviews and when I look at him, like he was a celebrity.
Yeah.
The celebrity, the person of John Wayne, got it. But the what are you doing over
John Wayne acted for 50 years.
there? Yeah. Yeah, he did, but
crazy,
people watched him because they were watching John Wayne. They didn't
true.
watch him because
He was a great character.
no. Whereas Clint Eastwood is an actor.
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood is an artist.
What movie did I watch? What's the one where he's the veteran that lives by himself next to the Korean family?
Oh, yeah, that was Gran Torino.
Oh,
Yeah.
I watched that on a plane and I cried.
It was, yeah,
I didn't know what to do with that.
Man.
So good.
So good.
So good. Like, you've got
Yeah.
the gravitas of being an actor for so long. You've got the chops. But I think because maybe there's not... Because you're so used to Clint Eastwood being a hard ass, Dirty Harry. But
Yeah.
then that character was just so vulnerable to
Yeah.
a certain degree. Especially it just blew my mind. Gran Torino. Check it out.
But that's the thing. I mean, I don't feel like John Wayne had that kind of pedigree or that
The
longevity.
breadth to be able to do that because
Yeah.
he was in his box. But
For a-
wasn't the
for a man
50s all
who
about
acted-
being in your box?
But for a man who acted for 50 years,
Once every third Sunday.
he's remembered for being John Wayne.
Being John
He's
Wayne.
John Wayne.
Clint
Whereas
Eastwood,
Clint
I don't
Eastwood-
think is remembered for being just Clint Eastwood. He's remembered for being Clint Eastwood, actor,
director, not
whatever
this
Chair
the hell else
talker.
he did.
chair talker, not this Western character.
Yeah, not
One
just-
of many
not just a
facets
man, not
Clint
just a
Eastwood can
canary.
carry.
Yeah.
That being said, I don't know if you guys are familiar with it at all, but have you ever read the comics or seen the terrible Josh Brolin film adaptation of Jonah Hex?
Oh, I almost did see that, so no.
Oh, okay. Well, Jonah Hex is a great Western comic book character, and
Is he like a zombie? Is he undead? Is he supernatural?
no.
Is he a straight up dude?
He's a dude with a horrifically scarred face.
But he's still just a dude?
Some people might say that there is some paranormal there, but if there is, it's super ambiguous, I think. But anyways,
Continue.
I was watching this movie and I thought if Clint Eastwood was younger when they made the Jonah Hex movie and they did it right, Clint Eastwood
Would have
is
made
Jonah
a,
Hex.
Oh,
He is Jonah
Grizzled?
Hex.
and not just because he's a Western character,
Well, I'd be
because
curious.
he's
Yeah.
an amazing actor.
I tried to look it up.
Yeah.
He just looks like him.
Oh, okay.
And I tried to look it up, but I didn't find any indicators that Jonah Hex was modeled after
him?
Clint Eastwood. But it's like, he may as well have been.
There's been so much Western influence in modern pop culture that was inspired by Clint Eastwood because he's like the original, the iconic, I guess, aside from John Wayne, that Western look. And he was 43 when he made this movie. He was
Really?
Yeah, and he was an attractive man in this movie that I not
Even in a bathtub.
I did not think that he was 43 when he made those original spaghetti westerns. The ones with Sergio Leone.
Who was in the one of the graveyards?
Yeah, they kind of just
I
gave him a
like
gravestone
that.
as
I
like a
like
tip of the
that.
hat. Yeah, when he made those, he was like early 30s or mid 30s, but still looking good in this one.
Still looking good in general.
In general.
Looking good.
Yeah, that's surprising, actually. Yeah. I thought it was a good film. I mean, it was, at first I was like, this is pretty fucking brutal.
Like,
It was only a rape. Don't worry about it.
You know what I found interesting was later on, they kind of alluded to the fact that this other woman was making eyes at him, the hotel owner's wife.
right.
I thought that maybe she
There's this
was like
weird, tense,
picking up
like-
on his supernaturalness, and that's
No.
kind of where I didn't know where Sarah's plot line was going to go. So when she kept kind of making eyes at him, is like, it's
Yeah.
because you know he's a ghost.
That threw me off because I thought she was one of the only kind of good characters in the town.
I
And then
thought it was obvious that they were going to bone.
Well, it looked like she was going to run away with him at the end as well.
Well, she was making eyes. It was alluded to, but I just didn't expect it
She
to
didn't
happen.
seem into
It
it,
was
but
this like tense.
eventually the prostitute got into it as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, I mean that's the
He's
thing,
like,
yeah.
she liked it anyway.
Yeah,
that
she
line.
liked
Oh God.
She.
Oh my God.
Maybe he's upset he didn't go back for seconds.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
but that's the truth. I think, honestly, in the film, in the context of that character, you look at me like that, but
I'm not actually looking at you at all.
No, yeah, exactly. You don't look at me like that. She at the she at the end.
Do not look at me like
Don't you
that.
not look at me like that. Don't you?
Forget about
No,
me.
at the end, when the three gunmen come back, and she goes, I only loved you. Like, that's who she was. She was a piece of filth.
Yeah.
That's who she was. He knew that from the beginning. Mm-hmm. Everyone in the town knew that from the beginning.
They were, the whole town.
It was obvious.
Yeah.
Speaking of the hotel owner, though, he was the most entertaining in terms of humor to watch. He was the biggest pussy I've ever seen
and I think
in
that
a
was
film ever. He was just the biggest, largest, gaping, wide, well-used pussy I've ever seen ever.
That was kind of the point. Like, what could he do to this asshole to finally make him crack and push back? And nothing. He can make you tear your own barn down. He can fuck your wife. He can do anything he wants to you. And you just bend over and take it.
Yep. It hurts so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. It was an interesting film. It was interesting. At the beginning, I was a little bit caught off guard. But as time went, I liked the movie more and more. At first I thought it was a little too harsh. I was like, oh. I'm not a big fan of movies that start with rape or even contain rape in general.
That was a pretty mild rape, though. Of all the unpleasant depictions that I've ever seen, that one wasn't too bad. She was walking the next day. Girlfriend's fine.
He didn't
She was
beat her up, I
obviously
guess.
wet before he got her in that
God.
day.
Oh, here we go.
She must have been. Right?
But it was kind of comical when he grabbed her at first, and she's like, "Hey, where are you taking me?"
Where else is there to go? Like, the thing that bothered me the most is that, I get inherently upset at that kind of forceful action. Conversely, what the fuck was that bitch doing? She, huffed herself and then just sternly walked over there and shoulder checked him.
What was her end game?
Why would you do that with nobody around them?
Yeah. Well, why
You
wouldn't?
And I feel like
I was like, you want it.
Well, yeah, there's no, and that's why his thing of, well, if you wanted to get to know me, you just had to ask. Oh, well, just shut up. Yes, maybe. Maybe that's not your desired outcome. Maybe you thought you'd be able to have the upper hand there, but there's no misunderstanding that kind of abrupt.
Yeah, he gave her what she wanted. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Oh, yeah, but he did.
I mean,
He didn't leave any money.
That's what she was looking for. No, but that's the thing about the whole about her character is the whole movie, and I think this is probably one of the most hotly debated topics.
Of course.
About the film. The whole time, she felt spurned by him. The whole time, she wanted it, but then she wanted revenge because she didn't really get it because she was being used, whatever the fuck it was.
Yeah.
The whole time.
That makes it sound like they were a lot more of a plot point than they really were.
No, they were, I think, because it had to do with the whole, it had to do with the
town in general, but it was like building
I think it was a plot point to make him
seem
evil.
To make him seem evil?
Yeah.
He was kind of evil.
At the beginning.
To the town, who was also assholes.
But they kind of deserved it. But they kind of deserved it, is the thing.
Yeah, that's what they kind of deserved it. They were,
not that anyone deserves rape.
Oh, this will be a good ending.
Oh, jeez.
No, I'm not justifying that. I'm just saying that she was a pretty shitty individual.
Prostitute.
Right.
In terms of, I don't know that she was a prostitute.
Me neither.
I think she was a whore.
I don't think it was portrayed that way.
I think that we can call her a whore while not necessarily implying she was a prostitute.
Okay.
But
she was the town whore as a title.
The modern whore.
I would have just said that she loved around.
She loved her.
maybe she did.
I actually, in my notes, had a running woman count.
Yeah.
And it's not until I think about almost halfway or a little over halfway that a second speaking female comes in. And even then, there are less than half a dozen women in this movie.
Yeah.
No, there are half a dozen.
Yeah, but that's the whole town. That's what I thought was weird.
It's just
It's a mining town, and everybody has a job except for miner.
They didn't show any miners as well.
Not one.
Because they were all out working in the mines.
I guess so.
I don't know.
And there
Well,
were
you
no
gotta keep
houses
them going night
either.
and day, because what if the government finds out for rules?
There were no houses. The entire town was like the mining
Businesses?
office. They were all businesses. Where were the fucking houses?
Well, I guess
Where
if
did
you've
everyone
only
live?
got 24 people in the town, you're all living in your office.
They all lived in the hotel.
Maybe.
I'm ruined.
Except the church.
Anyways, she was a cunt, really. And
Very succinct.
well, she didn't give you any reason whatsoever
To
at
like
any
her?
point to like her. None.
Yeah.
Not
Not at one point.
No
She was
redeeming
always
qualities, yeah.
trashy, manipulative. I'll jump to whoever.
I don't think that she had enough screen time to be manipulative.
Yeah, maybe not even manipulative. It was just I'll just jump to whoever I think can save me from whatever this moment is.
I disagree with that as well. I think it was less who can save me and more who can I play. Because I feel like maybe she just hit up this.
It's manipulation.
Oh, touche.
And she did try to shoot him in a bathtub at one point.
And the dinner didn't seem too legit. I can be readier.
I can be readier.
Do you remember her saying that? That made me laugh a
I
lot.
can be readier.
Yeah, give me 30 minutes. I can be readier. I can be ready. You're ready now. I can be readier. Let me clean out my gutters.
I gotta say though, the older lady that he bangs later, she had bigger tits. No?
Oh,
Yeah, she
that's
did.
what you took away from that.
I just noticed it.
Oh, okay.
Incidental.
Incidental.
But she had the shittiest husband, so it's not surprising to me that later she was like, you know what? I'm out.
I'm out.
Peace, homie. I'm out.
She was also the only one who
Sorry.
fought against the original murder of the marshal.
It was a good movie. I mean, in general, I think at the end, I really felt like it was a good movie. What about you guys?
Yeah, no, because I had never seen this before when it was my pick. I guess I really enjoyed it.
It makes you go a lot of places.
Yeah.
Think about a lot of things. Meg?
I liked it. I thought it was a really great introduction for me to Western movies. I didn't really want to call it a Western. I feel like it might get that label just because it's set in like a desert and there's horses and pistols and shit. But it wasn't particularly cowboy-y, I didn't find. And the fact that it was a little bit ambiguous to its creepiness, that the score gave such atmosphere regardless of it gave a lot of atmosphere in contrast to the stark setting because it was just in that fucking desert.
Yeah.
I was so worn out by them whipping that guy in the street.
Yeah.
They just kept whipping him. Yeah.
Fade that guy's face into the darkness with tears rolling down his cheek.
Yeah.
You know, you
Until
gotta...
the end when he whips those guys, and I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah. That
Whip this shit out of them.
Na-na-na-na.
that redemption kind of thing.
Na-na-na-na-na-na-na.
Yeah.
Na-na-na-na-na.
I'm going to try not to ask you guys like for a final approval of anything because it really sounds too much like we're trying to
Review it, right?
Are you doing what the fuck are you doing?
Whip it. Fucking
Whip
Devo.
it good.
Oh.
Jesus.
I love the video of that song where they've got like those weird step pyramid.
Those were supposed to be like therapeutic or something, or block out brainwaves.
Definitely. Tinfoil hats.
So I think they probably should kill Matilda if that's the name of the lead singer.
It's not though. I caught
That's too bad. They
one
should
of
kill
your
Foreshadows.
from Dusty.
Yeah.
And then I looked it up and oh, that's her name. I get it.
Is she Dusty because nobody wants to be with someone so artistically challenged?
No, I think that her husband embraces the creativity and chaos.
And
Creativity is
the
a
anger,
stretch.
like wow.
Right.
Oh jeez.
Right.
I mean, I'm not. Oh man, that's snarly. Yeah,
Right.
that's pretty hardcore. I just did notice that.
What's hardcore about?
No, like the way that she.
Do you mean to genreify
No,
with hardcore,
I
or just
didn't-
like, man, that's fucking
No,
tough?
yeah, I don't mean to say the
Obviously,
music.
distinctions are required.
I
in
don't
context.
mean that the
I'm not-
music is metalcore, hardcore, whatever you want to
Don't
call
box
it.
it
That's
up.
not what
No.
my question was
No.
either. My question was, what's hardcore about
I just meant it in
it's
a
fabricated.
No, I meant it in the way where she'll go from that like belting it out with like that because she has a good voice to that like deep like snarl like that is pretty cool.
I
thought.
like the
Yeah.
style of her scream. It doesn't, and again, because I work with so much sound, I feel like my ears are a little bit dainty in regards to some tones and octaves, and something about the sound of that scream works for me. It's not so harsh that it comes out totally nullified and distorted in my ear. It's not really high or low. It sits in that
grating.
threshold.
Yeah, I know.
It's not, at least not to me. It sits in that threshold of acceptance.
Yeah, I'm on board with that, because when she does really belt that scream, I was like, all I just said was that's pretty cool.
It sounds like I'm listening to a junior high band that somehow is still going for almost 10 years. That's what it sounds like to me.
I think that we're going to be treading on a lot of the same subject matter we have in the last few albums, because this is one of their premiere releases, and they've done a couple albums since then. I think they've done an acoustic EP of some of the songs on I Want Revenge.
Really, acoustically, these angry songs.
Yeah, Geisha with a Switchblade on acoustic. It's a lot more pared down, but it's a little menacing just because it's so restrained, if you know what I mean.
I just want to point out their Wikipedia page. I mean, we're talking about, how her voice is hardcore and whatever.
I still think you're using that with a little bit of...
I don't understand the, hardcore. I don't know. It indicates that they're
I never said that they were hardcore as a describing word of the band in general. I just thought that
the attitude versus the genre.
That attitude.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not. I don't feel like it is. I feel like it's fabricated hardcore. It's like, we're so hardcore, but they're not really.
I'm really interested to see when an album comes along that you think is worth anything.
Oh, there's plenty of them.
I can't wait till you pick them.
There's plenty of them. I don't know. I mean, Wikipedia page, which for small
Only
bands,
facts.
no,
Only facts.
no, for small bands like this, and to be fair, they're a small band with limited impact. Generally, the people writing about them are their fans or themselves, because there's no moderator going, interestingly, there's no Kill Matilda Wikipedia page yet. So someone created this page. It says, Exner, originally of Burns Lake and Prince George, is also noted for extreme stage behavior, sporadic, a love for beer.
Right.
The singer is reportedly to have offered beer to fans prior to Kill Matilda shows. Gasp. Extreme. And a frequent use of profanity during live shows. When do you ever see that noted? When do you ever see that noted as a notable example of how, these guys are pretty extreme, these guys are pretty hardcore? Show me a fucking band that doesn't drink beer before the show or use profanity during their... I've been to Christian concerts where they're like, fucking Jesus is fucking wicked, dude, and then they shotgun a beer. Look, it's not an example of being extreme. I don't know. That's all I'm saying, is that there's definitely an image being projected, and that image is being perpetuated beyond just their experience.
They're a horror punk, or what do you call it? A horror rock and roll, like that. They have a lot of imagery in their show. I want to say their logo's like the Rocky Horror lips. Come on, it's like they're. I can see there being a lot of play it up to do that on stage, to have that rock and roll attitude on stage.
Yeah.
I feel like I might have done a misstep by picking an album that I know anything about.
Maybe. Teach us. What do you know about this album?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
I've seen Kill Matilda play several times. Yeah. It's a really raw show. Like, if you like to thrash around, you're in good company. There's not a lot of theatrics, I think it depends on what your views are. Like, if you've never seen a female singer, guitarist before, it's going to be the spectacle. Oh, Lord, the spectacle,
This is
there's not a lot of blood, there's not a lot of theatrics, maybe.
Have you ever listened to Heart?
Is that a joke?
Not really.
Who doesn't know Heart?
Yeah, what's the point there?
Well, you're talking about female guitarists. Heart was a huge band in their...
How can you compare a huge band like Heart to something so small.
No, I'm just saying that females as guitarists is
it's not
by
foreign
no
at all.
stretch
No, it's
a
not.
spectacle.
No.
But if you've never seen one, if you were to just see Dusty Exeter play, you'd be like, wow, that's something, because you don't have a benchmark for it. She's on par with...
It seems like a moot point. Who hasn't?
Fair enough. There's no blood. I also am surprised that there's the Rocky Horror lips, given that I am so huge on Rocky Horror. I look at it and go, well, whatever you're going to do there. I think that it's angry music for angry people.
Maybe I just saw the imagery in the
There's
lyrics,
a lot there in this record. I think a lot of the lyrical content there is. I think that based on the lyrics, the title of "I Want Revenge" is suitable. It seems to be, and I don't know if it's because I've listened to the album longer, I've known about it longer, and I do have obviously a different perspective than either of you two do. I felt that it was kind of a female-centric record because "Geisha with the Switchblade" immediately made me think of Robert Picton, and I don't know why that's so in my I don't think that they've ever released any notes about it. I don't think they've ever said, here's where my
serial killer? Is that what you're saying?
Who killed all the prostitutes and then kind of not got away with it, but they're
He did for a long time.
But that's the thing, right? Because women who do that don't count, and that again, it kind of echoes out of the High Plains drifter. If you're a prostitute, you don't count. Your daughter's missing. Well, she's probably just like in another city whoring herself out. No, she's fucking dead and she's been eaten by pigs, but whatever.
Well, that's accurate too.
But there isn't any legit justification that I can think of. I don't remember them ever saying this is what it's about. But I find that anytime that you've got allusion to pomegranates, you are kind of tossing it out to women in there.
I noticed that because I was going through all the song titles and I was like, wow, these are really kind of violent, like I Want Revenge, zombies and stuff. And then I saw pomegranate and PB&J as two like.
But PB&J is one of my favorite. Like it's got a whale in it, and I guess again it depends what part, if any, did you appreciate. I feel like I take this is just juvenile fabricated music. Everybody's got to get, and it's the same thing as Sum 41. It's the same thing as Pup. You've got to try to see. You've got to start where you can to get where maybe you want to go. And if this is where they were when it came out, just being able to get in a studio to get everything out there, this is the best you think you can do. It might not be perfect. It might be really heavy-handed, like when girls are just first learning to wear eyeliner and you've got big fucking raccoon eyes because you don't know finesse. You don't know how to polish yourself.
It's a really good statement, actually, and that just made me think about something that I really haven't thought about in terms of when you said juvenile and you don't have that finesse and just kind of everything that you just said. I never really think about when I listen to music like this or Sum 41 or whichever else, I never really think about, okay, well, that's the way that they're able to express themselves or able to get out their message. Because, I mean, my challenge is I listen to it and I just am immediately kind of like, pushed away from it a little bit because of the imagery.
Which I find interesting, because in our last, I don't remember if it was on or off mic, but you had said how you like to get angry when you listen to music.
Definitely.
And I thought this would be so suited, and I don't know if it's the age difference
I think
or because just the taste difference.
I think the challenge for me is, when I watch something that has that kind of imagery in it, I watch it purely from an entertainment aspect. I don't watch it from an emotional aspect.
Right.
When I watch or listen to something from an emotional aspect, it has to come from reality. And reality to me is not murdering someone. It's not zombies. It's harder to connect with it on an emotional level. Yeah, real life does not include real life for me.
And you
has not
contain
included
real life
zombies.
into music?
For sure.
Ooh, this is going to be a problem going forward.
No, because I think
the distinction now is good.
Well, I just think if you listen to artists who have made either political or emotional or whatever connections in the broad scale of things, I don't think that they've done it using imagery. Our first album was
Judas Priest.
I don't think
they had to say.
No, they had things to say.
It was fun.
They did what they did.
Yeah,
they
it was.
they made their statements. There was no shortage of like homosexual stuff
So
going
much
on
leather.
there.
So much leather.
So much leather. I still love it.
The point for me, I guess, is the people who have really made like a large social cultural impact are the people who've been able to relate more on a broad scale. So they're able to write an album.
That sounds like quality over quantity.
No, I don't think so. Because Bob Dylan to me is a good example. From I think an objective viewpoint, if you look at him as an artist, the man's a full-on fucking artist. There's a lot of people who listen to Bob Dylan or Neil Young or whichever, and they go, I fucking hate his voice. Right. There's not a lot going on there other than Bob Dylan and Neil Young are doing exactly what they want to do, only what they want to do.
And they put out like hundreds and hundreds of songs.
But do you know why everybody knows who they are and why they sell hundreds of thousands of albums? Because they're doing it, if not millions of albums, because they're doing it in a way that everybody can connect with and is still artistic. They're able to take those two things and balance them entirely together. Whereas for me, I can't watch Dawn of the Dead and connect emotionally with it.
How can you even compare Bob Dylan and Neil Young when they really exploded? Not to say that I think that their rates now are based on heritage. But they talk about things you can connect with. We grew up far after their music was released. You can still connect with it. You cannot connect with zombies. I don't give a fuck.
I don't care
about. I really wanted to just be, and I think this is really.
Get mad at me, Meg.
I think it's really, just proving the distinctions in our voices, and that's what makes us a great collective group.
Hey.
I really wanted to be like, I don't give a fuck about Bob Dylan or Neil Young, and I don't really care for the softness of the music. If I hear Neil Young on the radio, I'll probably change it. Yeah. But I really do feel like if you had them come out now, would they be so huge as they are to us now? Like in an alternate universe, if you just had Bob and Neil coming out now, I think the musical climate wouldn't allow for it. Or
that's tough.
If it did,
I think it's timeless, and that's why people still buy those albums.
You can't say
no,
though.
I don't think so.
There could be a songwriter out there right now who's speaking that way.
Look, let's switch it up a little bit.
Well?
Let's switch it up a little bit because Neil Young's albums still chart. He'll release a new album.
Wow.
His new albums still chart.
But what if all the baby boomers were dead?
New artist that's just charting all of a sudden.
No, that's my point though. Is it doesn't matter that he's a new artist or not. If people
builds on my point that he has those ratings based on heritage.
No, not at all. Because if April Wine released a new album tomorrow, they would not chart.
I think it would chart.
No,
in Canada it would chart. They're Canadian.
Yeah, maybe in Canada. Okay.
So how many of those people? If Neil Young released a new album tomorrow, like Beyonce did overnight, and it just fucking exploded, I would be interested to see the numbers of people who were like, holy shit, fucking Neil Young, that's amazing! What's he talking about? Versus, oh, Neil Young, what's he doing?
People do that all the time, though. Like, they listen to his albums. They buy his albums en masse. They follow him in the news. Look, hey, I'm the first person to say that Neil Young's, political statements and motion I could give a shit about. But that's the reality of things, is that people care about what he has to say, and they continue to buy his albums.
Right.
They continue to buy Tom Petty albums. If Bob Dylan released an album tomorrow, they would fucking buy that album. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that because they're not only are they artistic, but they're also relatable. They're also things that people can personally connect with in one fashion or other. And I think, and I'm not, look, I say all this not to diminish.
Of course not.
No. Honestly, I don't. I say all this not to diminish Kill Matilda's imagery. They appeal to the people that they appeal to. It doesn't appeal to me. I can appreciate what they're saying, and I can appreciate who it appeals to. It just doesn't appeal to me. I don't think typically I'm the mass market person. Most of my favorite artists are not accepted by the mass market. I certainly, sure as shit, am not buying a Katy Perry album or a Beyonce album.
I wonder what the next big sound is going to be.
Who knows?
If it's not that really programmed pop.
It's hard to say.
Well, I think the most recent thing was that like hipster folk, right? Mumford and Sons and stuff.
That's what that was?
I think that's the most recent
variation
projection of newish genre. And I think there's some good stuff in
genres.
there. I think there's some good stuff in there, but it's not the popularized stuff. And I think that's always the trouble that I run into, is that the bands that have been doing it for 10 years before the band that made it top 40 are the bands that I tend to go for, because they're the artistic bands, as opposed to the bands that make it top 40 and it's back to 4 chords and a basic banjo lick.
I think it's really interesting to hear someone talk about, I like music because of what I can take away from it versus the emotional connection. And again, I don't know if it's just because, well, I've talked a couple of times
Those
about
are
how...
the same thing. What you can take away from it and the emotional connection are the same thing. But some is more palatable and relates to daily life than other stuff that is based on zombies.
Only one track is about zombies. You're pegging these people like all of their stuff is about zombies.
It's the image. It's horror punk. It's horror punk.
See, when I said horror, I didn't mean it to be the entire thing was theatrical, like
They
a play.
are a horror punk band.
Why do you say
is the
that
genre.
based on this one album? Why are you pigeonholing them on one album?
And what I found interesting was that this album was like, you could not find it anywhere. They don't sell it. They don't advertise it on their Facebook
It's old.
page.
Because nobody wants to listen.
No, I'm
You're
just
such
saying.
a fucking cunt.
I'm basically saying, like, a lot of bands you can go back in their discography and say check it out and buy it maybe, whereas these guys, it almost, this album and maybe a couple EPs and stuff, they've just kind of pushed it away and they don't even really talk about it.
When this album came out, they were a 5-piece, I think. And then one of their members died. And then there was a bit of a hiatus. And now they're just back together. Well, not back together. They have been a 3-piece for at least 3 years, maybe just 2 years.
Okay.
Right now it says they're a 2-piece, Dusty and Michael.
Really?
Who are married.
I'm missing their drummer.
So it's really just...
And they just
The
put
married
something
couple.
out, like last fall.
And I did find on
Needle and
Spotify.
Thread?
Maybe that's what I saw, because I found them after we were talking about it on Spotify.
That's why I threw it up, because I didn't think it would be findable.
But the problem was this album wasn't on that.
But Needle and Thread was?
But it was, yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I haven't heard that one. I will travel to Edmonton. I've gone to Edmonton to see Kill Matilda.
Yeah.
Would I go to Calgary if they were only playing Calgary
Right.
and it was on a suitable day? Of course I would, because the energy gained from that live show is
I can
just
see that.
outrageous.
I can see that, yeah.
And I still feel it, but I have that benchmark. I have that context for what you get from them. And it was the same with and I talked about this with Violator. When Blue Dress comes on, just the way the synth is there, it takes over my whole person. And I felt that way with Neurotic Test Drive when they've got the carousel off the top.
Oh, I
and then
noticed
there's just the guitar line kind of goes through.
Right.
And I found it an interesting context of really heavy, muddy, thrashy sound with the really, really clean guitar on top. And there were some parts where, even now, like I've been listening to this album for a couple years, and there were just some parts, even now listening to it more critically, those notes don't sound right.
Oh.
Those tones don't really seem to go there.
Yeah,
But
like during particularly some of the solos, right?
Even the
It's like they
vocals.
hit the wrong fret, but they just went with it.
And if you
and
know,
some of the vocals too.
and if this was the only chance, if it's rip it in one take, this is all we can afford. You know, like how many gutter punk EPs are out
Yeah.
there that
Right, that
sound
just
like
have-
shit?
yeah.
But this is all you can get. You've been saving up for a year to get money for studio time. You can't afford to do it again.
It's not going to be perfect.
Back to what you said earlier, you're right.
That one
I would
thing.
be interested. I only listen to the one album because when we do these, I try to just like.
You don't want to get too.
No.
And that's why I feel like
I
I've
don't want
done
to
a
color
misstep.
it. I don't want to color that album by having a full history of them. So back to what you said earlier, when I said that they sounded like, a junior high band that you would think is pretty good. I don't know if I said that you'd think they're pretty good, but The point is that if I was to listen to them in junior high, and I went to school with these kids, I'd think those guys are really fucking good, and I'd want them to keep going because I would know that they could be better. And when you say that this is one of their earlier albums, it then makes me think. I hope, and I would be interested to see if they have progressed because
you've got a lot less going on now that you've got half the members.
I talk about it the way that I talk about it, but I may be harsh, but I'm harsh from the perspective of it sounds like a junior high band album to me.
I still put this thing on when I have to run.
I would still say that if I listen to them progress and advance, as I expect any band to, I expect that their later albums do sound better.
I feel
more
like
refined.
This is a case to put in the second or fourth Sum 41 record.
Oh no, let's not.
Maybe we should. Hey, for Blink-182, it actually holds true. The album that they recorded before they broke up the first time.
The first time?
Yeah, apparently they're back together. I don't fucking know. Anyways.
Oh yeah.
Their latest album that they released before they broke up and did their really garbage solo stuff was their
Everybody's
best album.
Got to hit rock bottom to figure out what they do or don't want to do. It
was their best album. And so that is to my point is that, I'd be interested now.
Me too.
After the episode to listen to more of their stuff and see where they've gone with it. Because I don't think, and, next week's album is going to be kind of a case in point because the album that I'm choosing is not their first album, which is extremely different from their later album, from their second album and their third album.
My next one's just going to be classical music.
Ooh.
Bands change over time. They progress. They develop.
I feel like Meg's going to be scared to pick what she likes now. So that
I just really have to go to the bathroom. So I'm extra antsy.
Fair enough.
I could use another drink. I think we have more discussion.
I generally prefer my conversations to have topics pre-chosen. It allows me to prepare and takes away the anxiety of what I will or will not have to talk about. More or less. Also, Fridays I'm busy.
Hot dogs and a.
I had hot dogs yesterday on the river. It was amazing. I had my first real day of summer yesterday. It was ballin'.
What were you doing on the river?
Canoeing.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, we got a canoe and we took myself and Farley out and we were on Vermilion River for probably 5 hours.
Where'd you get the name Farley from?
Farley Mowat.
That's what I thought. Where else would you get it from?
Chris Farley, but who names a dog after Chris Farley?
That didn't even cross my mind until just now.
Unless it's like a big, fat, stupid dog. And Farley's tricky. Like, she'll growl at you if you spend too long in front of my house. She growls at my neighbor's son when he goes in their backyard because she knows my neighbor, but not his kid. And when we were getting the canoe inspected, she growled at the girls walking around the van. But if you reached in the window to touch her, she'd run away from you. It makes no sense.
She's all bark, eh?
Don't touch me, don't touch me, don't touch me.
It makes me wonder, if something was really happening to Chris or I, would she launch herself at whoever was doing it? Or, would she, because she's a consummate beta dog. Oh. It's so surprising when she does growl at you encroaching on the perimeter that it really makes me wonder, like, what would really happen? What are you really going to do?
One day you're going to find out, maybe.
Well, inherently all women. Although, to be fair, when the guys dropped off the canoe, apparently she did bark at them, but she didn't attack them or anything because they just came in the backyard because it was supposed to be a surprise for Chris.
Yeah.
So I didn't tell him, and I didn't tell the dog, of course.
I gotta tell the dog.
Apparently, I should have.
Yeah.
So she barked, and so much so that it made Chris come out and ruin the surprise. But whatever. We got the canoe for free. So
this is a new canoe?
It's new to us.
You should make these posts on Facebook before we're done the episode.
Should we?
That was last week.
This was 3 hours ago.
Yeah.
Why did it come up last week? 3 hours ago.
Because I did last week 3 hours ago.
Oh.
Yeah, when she's editing,
I got other things going on besides this podcast.
Why would...
Wait, what? Why? I don't understand.
This is not my only creative outlet.
Confuses me. It's like on your personal Facebook. Would you post a post about something that happened 7 days ago?
No, it's because if you're listening to it, is that what you're saying? You're listening to it back and it reminds you of things?
And that's when I post this week,
But
so
it's not this week, it's
last week.
Last week.
That's because I'm posting about the week I'm editing.
So not this week, last week.
Yeah.
None of them are live. It doesn't matter.
This is just going off the
Maybe we
rails.
want to give the illusion that they're live. What if we ever have a call-in show?
No.
We're not going to do it.
You know what? It would actually be less work for me, so go for it.
Why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we do a live call-in show?
For the same reason that The Simpsons tried doing it and it was terrible.
The Simpsons tried doing a call-in show?
Yeah, they did. Like a few weeks ago, they tried doing a live episode.
I missed that.
Yeah, I just like watched some clips of it on YouTube.
How's that
and
even
it was pretty
possible
lame
with an animated show?
because they just put him like Homer at a desk and just had like the generic mouth animations going. Like you could tell it was kind
who
of.
the fuck thought that was a good idea?
It wasn't.
No, but that's different. I mean, a podcast is kind of like a radio episode or something, right?
Yeah.
Radio episode.
It's way easier to do. It's all audible.
Yeah, you can just have a conversation with them. It seems a little more natural. I know what you're saying, but it would still be work.
That'd be easy. Someone would call in and they just say, "This is a question for Mitch. Why are you such a fag?"
The only time I could ever
answer.
Hey, Mitch is super straight. He's got a girlfriend and everything.
Yeah, you shut up.
This is a question for Meg. What? Why are you so pro chick?
What?
And then there'd be
Because I have a vagina.
and then they'd say, "Well, this is a question for Aaron.
Why are you such
Why are you
a
the
dick?
biggest asshole on the fucking planet?"
Someone hasn't looked in the mirror.
I say that in a southern accent. Yeah, look, I'm talking to you in a southern accent. I mean, I come from Alabama,
Oh, okay.
where we're considered the biggest assholes in the world, and I consider you to be an asshole, Aaron Klassen. So, why are you such the biggest asshole in the world?
Oh man.
I think a call-in show would do well.
The only
I think that we would need to secure our following in the South.
Yeah.
Just so we have that southern guy. Every call. This is John from South Carolina.
Actually, you
This
know
is Paul
what?
from Florida.
My brother-in-law would be great for that because he doesn't study foreign accents or he doesn't study foreign languages. He studies foreign accents.
Ooh. Just have him on in an accent.
Yeah, John
He
would probably
studies
love
foreign
that.
accents?
Not actively, but like he travels. John travels a lot, and he's always staying in hostels because he likes to do it really low down because he doesn't have any money. So he meets a lot of multicultural people, and in an effort to fix the communication barrier.
Multicultural people, as in people who have
Varying
multiple cultures within themselves,
Perhaps.
or many cultures of different people.
His friends network has multicultural aspects.
So, like, this guy is French and Mexican?
Could be. I don't know his friends.
Maybe.
I think if like multiculturalism within an individual is different than multiculturalism
As a
in a
unit?
nation or something.
He knows lots of foreign people. That's what I'm going to settle on.
Yeah.
And were you
continue,
continuing to say that he breaks down the barriers by learning their accent and talking like them?
I guess so.
Is that because
It's super
Why
fun.
would you bother to learn the words? I'm sure he knows some words, like keywords.
right?
Maybe John just likes figuring out how to sound like someone else.
It's
That's
super fun.
That
When
is
you're
fun, yeah.
I went on a road trip through like Texas and Oklahoma and New Mexico.
Yeah.
And I'd go into a gas station. I'd be like, "Hey, look, y'all, where's the bathroom?"
You did not.
I did too. I said, "Hey, look, y'all, where's the bathroom?" And they'd say, "Oh, it's just back there." Because most of them don't have a southern accent, which is
that
quite
embellished southern accent.
And then I'd talk to them. I'd talk to them before asking,
Yeah.
what kind of cigarettes you got? I mean, and I'd just go on.
Why
and then I'd come out of the bathroom and I'd be like, "Okay, so I would like to have the..."
just to screw with
and
them.
I'd just go back to my normal voice. And they'd look at me like, "What the fuck is going on?"
Well, they'd probably just kind of think you're kind of a clown.
Just thought I
at
was
that
an
point.
asshole.
Yeah.
But the thing is, they never questioned.
Well, they're not going to be the one to say, what the fuck are you just doing back
That's
there?
what I find interesting, though. Because, like, what if you just did that for life? Like, let's say I just moved somewhere else. Let's say I just moved to, France. And I was like,
France.
"Hey, look, y'all. I come from down south." And
Where
they'd say,
I come from.
They'd say in their French accent, "We're about down south." I can't do a French accent.
Very about down south. No, I can't either.
Where are you about? No, that's more German. Where are you about? No, I can't. That's not even. What was that? Aussie
It
German?
just sounded throaty.
Sounds like someone trying to do a bad Schwarzenegger accent.
Get us the chopper.
Yeah, we got to get the rifles from the shed.
Mitch does
The
it pretty
bridge is
good.
out.
The
bridge is out. I do an awful Schwarzenegger. It's something I feel like should be easy, but it's not.
But wouldn't that be fun though? Like if you just move to a whole different country, and you just put on an accent, and you just for the rest of your life, you just talk like that.
I do that sometimes if I have to call somewhere that I don't want to be identified afterwards. Hi, do y'all have like surf and turf? Like do y'all serve breakfast? When can I get breakfast at your restaurant? Like 8 to 11?
8 to 11.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Why don't you want them to know you want breakfast?
Why not? I
Just
mean,
for example.
every single time I go into a Lamley's Western Wear,
You got to talk
I
like that.
throw it on. I throw it on. What kind of boots you got?
Y'all got anything made out of cow?
No, look, listen.
Made out of cow.
I prefer Ariat boots. You got any Ariat boots? Square toe instead of
Square toe.
Yes. Do you guys have any Ariat boots? I prefer a square toe. No, I just throw on the draw.
Does
Why
it
not?
make it
'Cause
like?
why the fuck not? I'm in there. You know, they don't know any different. They don't know who the fuck I am. I'd sound whoever I want to sound like. They wouldn't know any different. It's
I
terribly
like how that's fun to you.
Terribly entertaining.
Wonderfully entertaining. Because they don't know. They don't care. They don't call it up.
No.
You could be whoever you want to
They
be.
don't know. They don't care.
They don't call it up. I mean, you think about those movies where they scratch out their identity, and then they take on, you know, whatever fake identity, you know, whatever the born identity, whatever.
And they're
Scratch out? Like
Yeah.
mentally?
Just scratch it out. You know, they take their ID and they scratch off the picture like a scratchy card.
that's how you create a new identity. You just scratch it out.
Just take a penny
Yeah.
and you scratch out the
And then
picture.
you write on
the
a new
identity,
name. Yeah.
and then you put it through the printer, your inkjet printer.
Okay, now we're just getting into some Nick Cage territory.
Some national treasure level ID forging here.
Scratch out my identity, put a inkjet print on my new identity.
Glue it on there, grab your yellow glue stick from school.
Yellow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I prefer the white glue. It tastes better.
The white glue, at least, like you could put on your skin and then like peel it off.
Oh yeah, and then it felt like you're peeling your skin off. You're like, check it out, cool.
Like the cover of the poster for the film Pandorum.
Ooh,
You think that's how they did the effect? They put some kind of latex on there?
probably.
Oh, gotta be. Latex is fun to be peeling off if you do the proper pre-care.
I want to play with latex.
I have. It's super fun. I've made like big facial wounds and like big like gashes. Really, you can do a lot of really amazing stuff if you've got the time.
Yeah,
Especially when you're going to a Kill Matilda concert.
Mine was a zombie walk.
Cool.
Close enough.
Yeah.
We do know they only do zombies.
It is fun, actually. I tried to do it as a kid, but it's actually hard to do well. Like to do it convincingly, it's really difficult. So props to anyone who can. The other thing is, I went to a Rocky Horror Picture Show thing, and I just dressed up as a general transvestite.
I think I was there for that one, actually.
Well, I didn't have the wig to do Frankenfurter. So it was just like,
Or someone dedicated to
I'm
putting
just
the
gonna
makeup
wear
on.
women's lingerie. So off I went,
That was
looking like a
yeah. So
fat-
who are you again? Oh, I'm just a transvestite.
yeah. People kept asking me, "Who are you supposed to be?" Just a fucking tranny. What does it matter? I mean,
To the
come on,
world
do I
of
have to be a character?
Rocky Horror, it does matter.
It shouldn't matter. I don't know. I mean, I grew up. Weddings in my family were
Transvestite?
no, they weren't transvestite,
Oh.
but
They were not.
inevitably, the time warp became a wedding.
That's a classic.
family dance song.
Yeah.
The whole class and family gets out and does the time warp together.
That is amazing. That makes me like you a lot more.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I mean, my love for Rocky Horror started at a very, very young age.
Me too.
Not me.
You know, but I thought, you know,
I actually only
maybe I
saw it
was
for the first time like
misled.
5 years ago.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah.
Maybe I was
Having album for
misled.
you.
Oh.
But I thought I should just be able to go as a tranny and I'd be accepted.
Accepted?
But surprisingly, no.
Surprisingly, they wouldn't accept you.
No. So you know what? For all you trannies and homos out there,
God.
I've experienced that kind of discrimination. I was not accepted as a tranny. So
Bet you weren't allowed to pee anywhere either.
I just kind of peed on some faces. It was pretty good.
Yeah.
It was nice. Mitch, remember when I peed on your face? Line 3?
Stuck in the closet?
No?
Did you pull out your Beretta?
I don't remember you peeing on my face.
Golden shower.
Golden shower.
It was golden.
Golden shower. When when I was in Golden a couple of weeks
This is
ago,
okay.
I pulled out my phone and it was raining and the forecast literally said golden showers.
Oh,
and I
That's the forecast.
yeah, well, it says where you are.
Known better. They must have.
It's just the app on my phone. It was
Oh yeah, because the town is golden.
yeah, it's purely coincidental.
Sure it was.
Golden. It was more like golden colon showers.
Right.
Golden
Showers. Yeah.
Still
Still
that's
made me
pretty
laugh.
golden.
It's still
See, this is where the podcast is getting really good. Who knows?
Meg's just
Who knows how much Meg is going to
shaking her
cut
head.
out?
Just-
You'll never know till this time next week.
I'm having a lot of fun with this bit because we go where we feel like going.
Was that the end? Was that a closer phrase you just said there?
Can be. I don't know. High Plains Drifter, I just want to talk about it more.
What do you have to say?
I don't have a lot to say. The movie was so fucked up.
It was so good. Yeah. It was
Wasn't
the
it
perfect.
just fucked up, though? That's what I liked about it, though, is it was so totally fucked up. Who is the stranger?
Yeah.
Why does he bother getting the town painted red? It seems, even by the end of the movie, to serve no function.
I
It's
thought
all
it was
imagery.
for-
It's all
well,
imagery.
It was imagery. Yeah. It was.
Welcome to hell, and the guys don't even look at the sign.
Which I thought was pretty hilarious.
Yeah. They
was
had
pointless.
They had the welcome home banner. I didn't even really understand the whole picnic and everything to like welcome these people back. Was that part of the strangers testing them? Be like, welcome these guys back,
Right.
you bunch of assholes.
Well, I guess it depends, if you want to subscribe to who the stranger was. If the stranger was really like the original Marshall
Right.
back from the dead, yeah, welcome home, boys. Come on, you
Right.
want some? Etc. Etc. Etc.
Yeah.
Pew pew pew. I loved pew pews.
They
I
were so
loved
good.
That's because on Marthyth, laser guns actually.
Zap.
Zap,
Zap.
zap, zap.
Have you guys ever seen Evil Alien Conquerors?
Well, we are some, so yeah.
Yeah, but have you ever seen the movie with Chris Parnell
No, I haven't.
and Diedrich Bader? It's such a good
Somebody
movie.
put Chris Parnell in a movie?
Oh, the movie is hilarious. I'm gonna make it a movie.
Yes, put in something you love.
Well, we're working on Ben Foster right now, whom I love, and so it's gonna be a while for Evil Alien Conquerors. But there's this scene in the movie where he's shooting his laser, and their lasers are really slow.
Slow lasers. What?
It takes like 5 minutes, and then after it gets close to the guy that he's firing the laser at, it just starts to dip downwards to the ground. So it goes, and it goes downwards and becomes a limp laser.
It
It's
goes
the funniest.
poor little flaccid laser.
It was this super independent, like low budget
Little
movie,
flaccid
and
laser.
it's fucking hilarious. I rented it as a VHS years ago, and it's become a classic for me.
You rented a VHS? How old are you?
Man, VHS back in the day, it was 7 movies for $7 for 7 days. And so I would rent 7 movies and I'd watch them in one day.
Well, yeah. Why else would you rent?
binge watch.
Who rents a movie and then goes, "Oh, I'll get to that in a couple of days."
I've seen an insane amount of movies. I added it up once. If I just watch the movies that I've seen one time, it's something like 7 years of my life. But I've seen most of them multiple times.
Right.
So
Gotta
I've
watch
spent
them.
most of my life watching movies.
That's okay, though. That's okay. It's what you enjoy.
Yeah, but High Plains Drifter was great. The imagery was great. Do you think he was in? Do you think he was a ghost?
I like
What's
the
your
idea.
final conclusion?
I can only hope he was a ghost because it really makes it just wraps up the weirdness in a nice little bow for me.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
And it's not outside of my realm of viewing for that kind of stuff to happen. You know, like if it's not an abstract moral tale, then it's always and the old man who helped her across the street had been dead for 1,000 years. You know, it's always.
Yeah. I think it takes it as a Western. It takes it further than just your regular cowboys and Indians Western, and it just gives it that extra kind of something to think about.
I think as an allusion to it being a ghost in a way is at the very beginning of the movie when I'm watching the guy get whipped in the street.
Yeah.
And you see those wrinkles next to his eyes.
Yeah.
And I just thought, at first I thought, oh, this is him and he's back for
They do
Yeah.
that.
That was my immediate
I think they did that on
thought.
purpose.
Yeah, they did do that.
So even though as you watch the movie, he looks distinctly different, which makes it then more confusing, it would be obvious that he's a ghost if it was him.
They made it kind of look like him as the stunt double.
They gave him some aesthetic that made it look like him, particularly the wrinkles by the eyes.
Right.
So I found that a bit interesting. That makes me lead a little bit towards Ghost, but I think at the end I don't necessarily lead towards Ghost. Mind you, if you look at some anime and some other stuff, chimes and bells and stuff,
that's usually a paranormal sign.
Often signify paranormal. They're not sounds that typically associate with the living world. So that's kind of interesting in that way.
Gotta love the theremin.
I didn't notice it so much as the bells.
Yeah.
I think that the theremin created, if you were to look at a landscape, I think that the theremin is the whole night sky and the bells are the dark clouds rolling in. Because the theremin creates that whole creepy atmosphere, but the bells are what you notice. Like marshmallows in your hot chocolate. You know you've got hot chocolate. You know that you've got a nice snuggly mug, but then you get the marshmallows, and you're like,
Snuggly mug.
Snuggly mug.
What are those little bits?
You know who has a snuggly mug is Clint's son, Scott.
Oh?
Yeah, actually, he was in a Western movie recently, and I looked.
They're
at
making Westerns?
Yeah, Scott Eastwood.
He's following an old dad's footsteps.
Yeah, his dad is Clint Eastwood, and he looks a lot like his dad.
Oh, with the squinty eyes.
Yeah, I saw him recently
and thin lips.
in an image for a Western movie, and I thought, holy shit, he really looks like his dad. Which is interesting. I mean, I'd be curious to see.
Wow, he's only 30? I pictured Clint Eastwood's son being much older than that.
I know it was in Grand Scott Reeves.
So here's what I'm saying. You want to make a movie similar to that, or like Jonah Hex or something, right? Mm-hmm. And then look up.
He's in Suicide Squad.
And then look up Walton Goggins. You might recognize him from a couple of movies. I'm most familiar with him from Justified.
I've never watched that show.
Oh, it's so good.
I recognize the actor.
Yeah, I recognize his forehead.
Now, place him in the spot of the nuttiest of the three from High Plains Drifter.
In the
nuttiest of the three, like, prison expellees. The one that gets his ear shot off.
Right.
I done got my ear shut off.
It was not shut off. They just shot a piece of it off. That actually made me really disappointed and frustrated.
Anyways, watch him as Boyd Crowder in Justified, or watch him in most any movie, and then tell me that he wouldn't be perfect in that role. Put Scott Eastwood in his dad's role and remake the film. I'm 100% on board. 100%.
100%.
I actually felt like
Do I sound like that in real life?
No.
You've listened to all of these and you have not figured out that you do kind of have like
Do I have a drawl?
like a little bit of a
I've
drawl.
got an Alberta drawl.
An Alberta
A little
drawl.
bit. You know, that's
I
funny
think
that
it
you
just
point that
might
out.
be all you're drinking.
My dad. No,
You're
it's part.
smoking and
That's
drinking.
Drinking and
part
I
how
mean,
talk.
I don't
fall
want to
into
be
it.
like pointing fingers. Hey, look, there's a kitty.
I done gone and smoked a pack of cigarettes and drank a 2-6 of liquor, and it drew me into this.
Yeah.
When I was young, my dad once asked me, he says, why are you talking like that? I said, what are you talking about? Why are you talking like that? I don't know what you're talking about. You're talking like you're from the South. I don't know what you're talking about.
You never caught it, hey? Just a subconscious Southern accent.
Well, Mitch, you and I have talked about that a little bit, about how Western Canada has a little bit
Just a
of
little
a
bit.
drawl compared to Eastern Canada, and that's
Well,
true.
Eastern Canada, they've got a little bit more.
In
Minnesota.
Eastern Canada, they got that. Yeah, you do it really
What
well.
was that accent, Aaron?
In Eastern Canada, I don't know.
Do you
I
want-
just
do
high
you want
pitch
some
it.
Minnesota?
Do it.
You want some Minnesota? You want the Minnesota accent? I don't
Yeah.
know where I get it from. You know what? You know where I get it
It's
from?
the pitchiness.
It's from Bobby's World, Bobby Jenerick, because his mom, she had this accent, don't you know? Because that was her catchphrase.
He was Canadian. He was a Jew.
No, it didn't matter because it was
That was
the mother. It was that TV show. Don't you know? It wasn't even real. It had Howie Mandel overset the
Howie.
actual credits, you goof bag.
Howie.
Yeah, goof bag.
You're such a goof.
You'd
one
fit
of my
right in
friends-
Bemidji.
One of my friend's dad's name is Howard. Howard.
Howard? Howard.
And I just call him Howard.
Hard.
Howard.
scared the kitty away.
And it makes me think sometimes, because my dad says that, and am I throwing it on, or is that just Western Canadian? Am I so disillusioned that I think that Western Canadians have a little bit more of a drawl?
Yeah.
I mean, Eastern Canadians, you did it spot on, Meg. I mean, they have that pitchy thing. They do.
I
But
haven't
think that
been to
Western
Eastern
Canadians
Canada
have a
in
little bit of a
years,
drawl.
and I can't wait to go back and just drink and eat.
Yeah, we're lazy. In the West, we're lazy how we talk. We're lazy in our speech. In the East, they're too excited.
They're a little French. You can tell the French influence, I think,
Too
because
excited.
everything runs together.
They pronounce their T's
And they're ours.
and their P's. Yeah, I'm doing that to piss you off. You're right. But they do. If it was a Western Canadian, film, it'd be more like.
Tip, tip, pop, pop, pop.
No, it wouldn't be tap, 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 pop, pop, pop. We don't, in Western Canada, we don't go and smoke darts. We don't smoke darts in Western
Oh, we're just out
Canada.
for a rip, aren't
Oh,
we,
just
bud?
out for a rip.
Yep.
You don't go for a rip, bud? No, they don't fucking talk like that out here.
They don't?
No.
That's pretty stereotypical. There's a lot
No,
of
it's
people
lazy.
that talk
It's
like
lazy. It's lazy. Lazy is a good word, because if you look at Americans and Eastern Canadians, they'll say lazy.
that. Lazy.
But in Western Canada,
We say
we'll
lazy.
Lazy.
I feel like
Lazy.
my profession makes me starkly have a contrast to this
Yeah, I'm
conversation.
curious about that. So when you hear like Western Canadians come in and voice a commercial, do you find them lazy about it?
Well, I think that my business, when it comes to someone who's not my property, for lack of a better term, you're not employed by my company, so my coworkers at that particular location,
Who, to be fair, are probably mostly Eastern Canadians.
I would say about 50-50.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a couple from BC, so they balance out. Our farthest ones
May as
are
well be Eastern
Ontario.
Canadians, but
You know,
bastards.
we don't have. We've got people who have worked in the East,
Right.
but not who are from the East. We've got a legit Easterner, but she's not vocal talent. So if you're employed by the company, you speak how I want you to speak. You do not necessarily get to have your naturalisms in there unless it's part of the business. But for any old person, any client to come in off the street, the point becomes less articulate, so you sound like you know like you're a professional human being.
Right.
And it's more, what is going to get the best product you can get? How can I get the best product possible from you, where your job isn't speaking professionally?
But they're probably also conscious about that as well.
A lot of people
they're recording the ad, they're like, I should pronounce better, and I should.
That's not a big issue for a lot of people, because some people don't want to be there in the first place. They've been told this will be great for your business, and it becomes my project to get the most well-crafted thing. Because it might be great for Bob. Oh my God, Bob, I heard you on the radio. You sounded like a fucking mush mouth.
What I think is interesting, when I was growing up in Alberta, there was like 2 million people in the province. Mm-hmm. So everyone you knew was born and raised here. And they all knew someone who farmed, right? Mm-hmm. My uncle, my nickname in my family, because I'm like Aaron the Fourth, is AJ, right? My uncle's a rancher, like an Alberta rancher. And he calls me EJ. Not AJ, EJ. It sounds like an E, but that's the accent. It's this really lazy kind of way of speaking, and that's what Alberta has been traditionally. Now you got 5 million people in Alberta, and they've come from all parts of the country and all parts of the world, and the traditional kind of sort of drawl that we had is kind of going away. But I really love that, actually. When I look at kind of those dialects, and I look at depending on where you come from, it's really interesting. Christina back in Norway, I find it amazing because they'll say for I, the word I, for her is egg is how it's pronounced. It's spelled the same way no matter where in Norway you are. Mm-hmm. It's egg in Bergen. It's jeg in Oslo. It can be e in other parts of the country. So egg, jeg. As an English speaker, those are entirely different sounds. A Norwegian will hear them all and know exactly what the other guy is saying. And that's what blows me away, because we look at like Newfies or whatever, or Southern drawl, and we go, oh man, that's a dialect.
But the established new versus old world, couldn't it?
Yeah, but that's over time. It doesn't matter. Over time, you're all going to have your different sort of methods of speech. You're going to bring it on. Who is the comedian? I think it was, who's the guy who plays, he's the Chinese like drug lord in The Hangover.
Oh.
Very famous.
He was in Community, wasn't he?
Ken Jeong.
Yeah, Ken Jeong in Community. Better in Community than anything else.
He has a sitcom that's awful and hilarious.
No, it's actually, awful and hilarious.
Yeah,
it's like your traditional sitcom.
It has
but
to be.
It's still funny.
It's got to be a rip on sitcoms, because it's so sitcom. But his wife in that show is hilarious. I see her in stand-up. I see her in lots of comedy, and it is good. Dave Foley.
Oh, Dave Foley.
Whoa.
Why isn't Dave Foley
in more things?
Have you ever seen The Wrong Man? Oh my gosh.
Yes.
The Wrong Man is such a good movie. Dave Foley was the movie star of The Kids in the Hall. I love Kids in the Hall in general.
Chris
Kids in the Hall is defining
for
me as a child. Yeah, Death Comes to Town.
That is pretty good.
I watched Kids in the Hall every day after school. I'd get home, I'd watch 2 episodes of Kids in the Hall on Comedy Network every single fucking day. I love Kids in the Hall.
You have that love for Kids in the Hall.
I love the Kids in the Hall. I love them. Anyways, where was I? Ken Jeong.
Oh, Ken Jeong.
Let's go back.
Okay.
Was it Ken Jeong that was born in the South? I could just be falling prey to the fact that I think all Asians are the same. Which isn't the truth, but I just can't remember who it was. I think it was Ken Jeong. An Asian comedian who was raised in the South Mitch is raising his finger.
No, I wasn't.
Detroit.
I wasn't talking.
He was raised in the South. Was he raised in Detroit?
He was born in Detroit.
He was a doctor. I know that.
Professional.
Wrong guy.
At North Carolina State.
An Asian comedian. I watched an Asian comedian.
Oh, just one that's got to narrow it down.
Yeah.
I watched an Asian comedian who was from the South, and he pointed out that he was like, he had a Southern accent. He was an Asian guy with a Southern accent, and every time he went out to do a show, people would get real confused because he was Asian and he talked with a drawl.
Come up there and they get mad. He's like, is he making fun of us?
But that's integration, right?
Yeah.
That's integration, because to me, that's what immigration should be. I've come to a place and I've adopted that culture. I've adopted that language. I've adopted that speech, and that was kind of a case in point to me. It was like, when would you see, a Japanese fellow speaking in a Southern accent? Well, hello there, sweet thing. And he's just like full on Japanese.
Reminds me of that show Fresh Off the Boat, which
I
Fresh off the boat.
I love Fresh
It's a
Off
good
the Boat.
show, but the intro drives me up the fucking wall.
I love it.
Change the intro.
No, I love it. Like, when I'm in a bad mood, when I'm really just not having any of the world, I can put on the Fresh Off the Boat theme, because I imagine it being done by cats.
Fresh Off the Boat. Those cats are rapping.
But they're
that
like
song,
super like they're bigger than Fat Boy cats.
Oh, wow.
So they're like hefty, husky cats. So that makes it extra funny. But I love the show, but I like Eddie Wong. The actual person, Eddie Wong. Eddie's done a lot of really fantastic off-the-cuff stuff, like legit stuff, and it's amazing to hear him talk. Like the actor who plays young Eddie got the role. He'd never acted before, and he just walked in. He's like, "What? You want something?" And Eddie's like, "That's me. That's the kid." So all these professional actors were all lined up, but young Eddie got the part because he was just so legit and raw.
That
and
was
actual Eddie was there, and he goes,
all right, that's the kid. Yeah.
So they hung out. Apparently the kid's like super, they're really close. It was exciting to hear about that, having watched the show, then discovered real Eddie, then found out how they got together.
Speaking of Walton Goggins.
Okay.
What kind of... That guy is obviously from the South. It's no wonder that he's as an actor.
Is that the guy with the forehead that we're over past?
Yeah. I just was looking at the page again. And his name, Walton Goggins. Walton Goggins. You know that guy is from the South.
That's a Southern name. Billy Bob Goggins.
He looks it. His name fits it. His characters that he plays fits it.
Walton Goggins.
I just love that. Walton Goggins.
That's the Canadian way to say it. Walton
Goggins. Yeah, exactly. We don't pronounce our T's in the West.
Walton Goggins.
We don't pronounce our T's. The only time we pronounce our T's is when we're saying T. Otherwise, it's Walton. Tim Hortons. Have you had... I say, have you ever had a Tim Hortons coffee? I prefer mine black, large. No,
just like your dick.
Black. I prefer mine black, strong, and extra large.
You should have said black, strong, and extra long. That would have been funnier.
Go back and say that.
Nobody orders a coffee extra long. Go back and say that. Black, strong, and extra long.
The cup would be extra long.
No, it's not as good this time.
It's not as good.
I think it's the snooty accent.
It's because I've elevated the accent.
You sound like Mr. Vodka.
Now I sound like a drug-addled British aristocrat.
You sound like your mouth is
sound
so
like
enclosed.
brain damaged.
Or like super constipated.
Yeah.
Like a week and a half
This is
constipated.
very
Where it's almost like
painful.
back up in his stomach. He's so
I
constipated.
never anticipated that I would have such a conversation when I was constipated.
Well, let's...
Hologram program deactivated.